Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with me, Kathleen. I am featuring this mug, which encourages us to think about things above and not earthly things. And the reason why I'm using this mug, even though I'm not a particularly religious gal, is because it was given to me by my dad's wife, otherwise known as my stepmom. And we hadn't talked to each other in nearly a decade. She was very unhappy, actually, with some of my political stances and some other things. And one thing led to another. And there was a heated conversation, although not too heated on my end, actually. I'm pretty circumspect about other people having different opinions. But in any case, she didn't speak to me for a really long time. And recently, as some of you may know, my dad's been going through some health challenges. He has MS. That's a persistent condition. But then he had another condition and diagnosis now that's exacerbating the MS. And he was having problems, even being mobile. Now he's 84, but long life runs in my family. So, he's got another 20 years, I think, to go here. And so we've got to keep him mobile. We've got to keep him healthy, happy. And she realized that when you're thinking about like the health of a system or the health of a family or whatever, it takes all of the members of the family to make that happen. And so she was very gracious and she extended an olive branch to me. And let me tell you, no matter whose fault it was, no matter who did what or who said what, even if it was you that blew stuff up, it's really, really, really hard to be the one who reaches out and who says stuff and who engages and is the first one to say, hey, all these years ago, we lost connection. And I feel like I had something to do with that. And I'm sorry. But she did do that. And now we have a relationship where we went from literally zero contact. I had contact only through my dad and only heard about how she was doing through him and what he wanted to share with me. To now I have a daily conversation with her and she's happy to be a mother figure in my life, which is lovely because I don't have one. And so all of that, just really beautiful and really wonderful. And she's also working on that same relationship with one of my sisters where they weren't connected either. And so that's something to celebrate. And that's what I want to talk to you about. Like, we're kind of midway through the year. And, we talked about goal setting and intentions and doing hard things and priming our environment for success. We've talked about so many things this year so far. I've interviewed some incredible, inspiring people who, shared their thoughts on success with you. So hopefully, if you're a faithful watcher and you're sort of on your own path here relative to your leadership and success journey, you are in fact experiencing success. And look, I want to share with you that even if you're not where you hoped you'd be, midway through the year, there are still things to celebrate. If I can find something to celebrate when my father is not doing well and is having mobility challenges and people are worried maybe this is it, which by the way, it's not. He's been treated and he's so much better now. Then you can find things to celebrate too. And there are different ways that we have of celebrating. Oftentimes we think of, sort of like big bang celebrations where we're going out and drinking the most and doing the most and partying with friends and being loud and raucous and all of these things. But there is a way to have celebration as a practice and as a form of self-care and as something that we regularly and even mindfully do. And sometimes it's little things like just having a favorite hot beverage in our new Things Above cup that shows us that we are loved and that we can get new cups and new connections anytime we want, and we're open and we're ready for them and we're ready to receive them. we can do that. And we can celebrate every day too. It's not too often. And it is an important part of the daily rituals of our lives that we set up, that we create some time just to acknowledge what's working, what's going well, what's beautiful, what's positive, what we're grateful for. And we can do that in a way that supports and nurtures our practice around being mindful and being great leaders and showing up the way we want to, and that advances us toward our goals, as opposed to maybe some of those other kinds of celebrations, which actually, maybe even diminish our joy. So we've talked about this before, but I'm going to set this down because this is a two-handed conversation. Okay. We talked about this before, but first things first, celebrating is so much easier when we set intentions. So I did a whole podcast on goal setting, so I'm not going to go all back through that piece of things. But what I am going to say is, if you start each day or each important experience and you crystallize and form in your heart like a specific intention for that day, for that experience, even for that difficulty that you're going through. I definitely set an intention before going and visiting with my father and his wife and the rest of my family and all those dynamics swirling around. I knew they would be there, and I wanted to walk in with a heart that had the right intention in it. The great news is when we do that and we watch at least pieces, if not the whole thing, just pieces of that intention manifest, then the beautiful thing about that is the moments of celebration just ooze right out of it. They're just there. And they're ready for us to take them. And that's exactly what happened, is that I had an intention of really showing my family that I love and care for them, and that some of these relationships coming closer together. Now, I would still love to mend a relationship with my brother, and I didn't get that opportunity. And I don't know why. I have no idea what I need to do to fix it. But that's okay, because I can celebrate what I did do, and what I was able to accomplish and what did happen, which is a more beautiful connection with my dad, a more beautiful connection with my sister, and a more beautiful connection with my stepmom. So those things were all beautiful and worthy of celebration. Next thing, that we can think about is building in rituals and pause moments. If we don't have a regularly carved out time in the day when we're celebrating the things that went right, or that we're grateful for, or that we're happy about, it makes it difficult sometimes to find time, because we're like, okay, done. And we're always on to the next. Because, I don't know if you're like me, but I want to accomplish so many things in this world. I'm always on to the next. I always feel like, hey, I'm not doing enough. I'm not saying enough. I'm not sharing enough content with you. I'm not recording enough podcasts. I'm not sharing my mindfulness journey with enough people. I'm not doing enough to elevate, women in auto care, or, people of color in all the spaces where they want to exist and be successful and be happy, or, all of the different things that I want to do. I work personally to promote literacy, and, I'm not doing enough there, right? There's so many things to do that I'm never going to feel like my contribution is enough. And at times that in and of itself can become a burden. So I have to build in time for those little rituals, whether, so one little ritual that I have that I really love is just burning a candle. So I will share with you, I have this brand that I love. It's called Imaginary Authors, and they make up book titles that don't actually exist. And they make up little snippets of stories that don't actually exist. And then they have fragrances and candles that exemplify those. This one's called The Abandoned Mansion, and it smells like cedar, quince. Am I saying that right? Quince? I think it's quince. And paperbacks. And people who really know me know, A, I'm a reader, and B, that I like to smell books. I absolutely love the way books smell, and I can tell the differences in the printing processes and the papers that are used by the differences in smell among books. And sometimes I make a decision to buy a book solely based on the paper feel and the smell, because I'm a very sensory person. And this candle smells like books. So when I get to light this in the morning and I get to sit for a few minutes and just enjoy the scent of the candle, and just to thank myself for getting up, for going and doing that workout, for being ready to approach my day with intention. It's a little bit of a celebration ritual that I have for myself. So these rituals don't have to be complicated or weird. You don't have to wear masks in the middle of some forested area with a bunch of other weirdos in robes unless you want to, in which case I am so here for that. But you don't have to, right? These can be just little things that you add to your day that you also fill with intention and with meaning, so that you're saying to yourself, hey, I'm celebrating me right now. And I'm doing it mindfully by living in this moment. And of course, you know, these moments of celebration should be mostly unplugged and unconnected. Although sometimes I love to just call people and say, hey, I'd love to have a moment of celebration. Let's do this together. Calling one of my women in auto care, calling my son. Oh my gosh, he is the best to celebrate with, because he will turn on his joy, his compersion at your happiness. He will turn that on in a second. He is brilliant. And I want to do that for all of you too. I would love to turn on my joy in response to something that you're celebrating or that you're excited about. You know, one other important thing is just slow down what you're doing. So, you know, a celebration could be, I'm having this cup of coffee, and rather than just gulping it because I need to, and you know, practically inhale this caffeine, instead I'm going to sip it mindfully and slowly, and I'm going to relish in this experience because I deserve to celebrate what I'm doing. And we deserve to celebrate all the little milestones along the way. I just met with my chiropractor, and he said, well, okay, so how's the marathon training going? What are you doing? What are you up to? And I said, hey, dude, I really feel like I'm stuck at this kind of 16 miles. Like I can go 18, but I don't really want to push it. And I can't go any further than that. So I'm just running 16s right now on my long runs. And he says, look, you know, you rescheduled your marathon to August. So, you know, you have till then. You're running 16s now. It's going to be fine. You're going to get there. And you're going to do it in your own time. So get good. Enjoy the 16, celebrate the 16, find something that went better about the 16 than you did last time, and celebrate that. It doesn't have to be more, better, faster, right? It can just be like the tweaks that you're making to your form, which of course he can see, because he can see that my neck and my shoulders aren't as tight because I'm not holding them as tightly when I'm running. He knows when I'm making those little adjustments and it's making a difference in my body, in my running form. And he can help to tease that out, those little things that I'm doing, so I can celebrate that. You know, something else that's happening that's tough. You know, this is really tough, you guys. Okay. One of my friends passed away. She was in a car accident. And she was one of those people that just lights up a room, lights up the world, right? Certainly was a light for her family. She adored her son. He's just a teenager. She's the exact same age I am, just a couple months apart in age. And anyway, she's gone. And that's been really hard. But you know what I did is I learned that she was gone, and I grieved. And then I took a deep breath, and I went and held space for other people dealing with their other hard things. And I taught a meditation class on top of that. And so the celebration for me was that there's all this stuff going on, but I was still able to be present for and hold space for other people. And, you know, that just felt really good to me. That felt really good to me as a sign of my practice. It felt really good to me as something emotional that I could do. And she was also a meditation practitioner and a yoga teacher. and a philanthropist. And it felt like something that I could do in honor of her memory. And so I did a particular meditation practice after that with a partner who, recognized that I was feeling sad and having some energy and wanted to help me process my grief. So we did a partner meditation around that. And she said, when I closed my eyes, Kathleen, your face was still lit up in my mind, and you had a light around you and an aura, and I don't feel that from everyone. And she told me, so I want to say to you that you are doing enough, and that just existing some days is enough, and that's worthy of celebrating and being excited about. Is just, hey, I'm having a hard day, but I showed up today, and dang it, like I was the best possible version of myself that I could be on this day. And that's worthy of celebrating. So look, I do hope that you're meeting your goals. I hope you're not having super sad times, although they come and go, don't they? But I also know that no matter what is happening, you are doing things and experiencing things and causing things to come about that are worthy of this celebration. So I am only sharing some of these things with you because it's what's in my mind. It's what's in my heart. I don't know if you know this or you can tell, maybe you can tell, but this podcast is not super scripted. I get in here. Sometimes I don't know exactly what I'm going to talk about, and I just start talking. I usually have a theme in mind, something that I think is relevant to kind of the time and space that we're in and that we're about to share together. And I hope you're finding it relevant, but, this is what's just coming out for me today. And I don't know, I just have a feeling that you need to hear to slow down and to appreciate yourself and to appreciate the simple pleasures of your life and to create these celebration moments for yourself. And there will be more moments to celebrate if you are living mindfully in the first place. And there will be more moments to celebrate if you're actively practicing compassion and kindness toward others, because then your actions are going to manifest in a way that creates things that are just so beautiful. You can't help but celebrate them. And it creates success too, of all different kinds. Creates, monetary success. It creates relationship success. All kinds of breakthroughs are possible when we live this way. And the good news about living this way is that then we get to feel them and we get to show up for others and help them to create these pathways in their own lives too. And so there's a ripple effect. And if anything is needed in this world right now, it is a damn ripple effect, a ripple effect of our joy even when things are hard, our joy at just being alive and being here for each other and being able to really create these moments together. And, even though I don't even always know who's going to be joining me on this thing, I mean, I ask you, I invite you, I hope you're here. But of course, some people are watching discontinuously. They're watching this later. You might have seen, now I have little sips, which are kind of shorts of this podcast that I'm able to share. So maybe, somewhere down the road, you're even consuming one of those as opposed to this whole podcast in its entirety. But what I know is, I know that some of you need to hear this regardless. And I know that something in particular, that the harder working you are and the more in service of others you are, the more you need to hear this, because the more you are just applying yourself to that, and you're probably not taking those moments to really recognize how truly awesome you are. And that reflection and that celebration is absolutely critical. And so I hope that not only am I creating some possibilities for you here, but that if you are going through a hard time, that I'm helping you to see things for what they are and to understand that life is going to life. It is going to come all at once. You'll get a good news and then a bad news and a good news and a bad news. And if you talk to as many people as I do in a day, because my job is to connect and create relationships and build partnerships and have sometimes difficult conversations with people I work with at my company, other companies, my family, all these things. The more people you're dealing with or interacting with in a given day, the more it might be sort of full on, one after the other, things, just things. If you have families in other countries, or there's a lot going on around the world, and you'll get a good news, and then suddenly Apple News will ping you and say, hey, but this is happening in the world, and look, we deserve this joy, we deserve this happiness, despite how heavy things might be. And I just encourage you to make sure that you're, it might feel a little artificial at first, some of these things. That's okay. Keep doing it. Create these moments, literally schedule them if you need to. Create the rituals before, during, after your work day. And let's just spend some time. And, if you need some help, if you need some inspo, I am very reachable. Ping me. Say, hey, I'm having a day. I need your help to find something to celebrate or to feel grateful about, or whatever. And I'll have a couple questions for you, but I can absolutely help you do that. The concept is you've got joy inside you all the time. And, the more layers of things that you have going on, or the more difficulty you're experiencing, the more buried it might be in here somewhere. But it is in there, and we can tap into it, and we shouldn't feel bad about it. We shouldn't feel bad in our most dire and difficult moments at smiling and celebrating and just finding that moment, or finding that thing that we can have some gratefulness about, and then elevating that gratefulness to a point of celebration. And so if you haven't done it yet today, if you haven't celebrated, find something. Maybe it's just that I'm almost done talking, but find something that you can feel good about, and then let's do it. Let's celebrate. Cheers.